In the Lower Egyptian city of El Arian, between Giza and Abu Sur, there is an unfinished pyramid of the ancient kingdom. To the west of the city, in a desert area, there is a necropolis of the same name, which includes 2 pyramid complexes and 5 bridge tombs in the form of truncated pyramids. This complex is of great interest to Egyptologists, but it is located on the territory of a military base and access to it has been closed to civilians since 1964. Excavations there are strictly prohibited. In the photographs taken before the ban on research was introduced, you can see absolutely stunning structures and traces of a grandiose civilization. Scientific researchers cannot visit these places. Military buildings are located on the territory of the necropolis, and a landfill is organized on the site of the unfinished pyramid. The state of the burial complexes is currently unknown, but one thing is clear. One is hiding something big. What exactly? Let's try to figure this out. The authorship of the pyramid is attributed to the pharaoh of the 4th dynasty Baka. According to chronology, his name stands between Khafra after Kherdef Imenkar. Bicharis is the ilized form of the name of this pharaoh, and it is found in Julius Africanus, who cites a fragment from the Egyptians of Manetho. According to him, Biharis was the son of Pharaoh Sufis II or Khafra, who reigned for 22 years. However, there is simply no reliable archaeological evidence of the existence of such a pharaoh. Therefore, there is a version that such a pharaoh did not exist, and the name Biharis Baka appeared as a result of a misunderstanding of the inscription. In the Turan royal list, between the names of the pharaohs Khafra Imenkar, there is the name of another pharaoh, but it is badly damaged, and the duration of the reign has also been erased. Also, between the names of Khafra Imenkar there is one name in the Sokar royal list, however, it is completely unreadable. Egyptologists have many hypotheses about this pharaoh, but at the moment, the unfinished pyramid of El Arian is considered to be the pyramid of a pharaoh named Baka. There is also a hypothesis that Djedefre could have started building the pyramid, because his name was also found in the vicinity of the structure. Moreover, the structure in El Arian is very similar to the Djedefre pyramid in Abu Roash. Both are carved into the rock, have a T-shaped core and are unfinished. The pyramid is in Oberush, the northern Giza are several kilometers away, and the Baka pyramid is further south. Here is a diagram of the construction of the base of the pyramid in El Arian by Frank Magna, prepared with the support of the Izida project. Reconstruction of the process of building the pyramid by Frank Magna in animation. The first descriptions of the object were made between 1842 and 1846 by the German Egyptologist Karl Richard Lepsius. He examined the pyramid he found and its surroundings. The Italian archaeologist Alexandra Borsentius began to study and excavate the pyramid in 1904 to 1905. During excavations, Alexandra cleared the underground part of the pyramid and found the remains of blocks from the above-ground part. The total size of the pyramid was 200 by 180 meters. The entrance begins with a descending corridor, then a horizontal section that opens into a stone staircase. The peculiarity of the pyramid is that it is divided into 2 parts, and in the middle there is a high smooth ledge, then another horizontal corridor. The pit is filled with stone blocks to a depth of 4.5 meters. Limestone blocks are laid below, and granite blocks weighing 9 tons each on top. In the center rests a block weighing 43 tons, also made of granite. On the western side of the burial chamber, an oval-shaped granite sarcophagus is embedded in the floor. The sarcophagus is oriented along the north-south axis. It was empty and archaeologists believe that there were no burials in it. Borsenti lifted limestone blocks weighing between 3 and 4 tons. On one of the blocks it was possible to recognize a name that ends in Ka. However, the first hieroglyph is impossible to read. Alexandra carried on his purchases until his death. He believed that there were still voids under the floor of the burial chamber. Such confidence was given to him by the incident that occurred on March 31, 1905. It was raining and the pit filled with water by 3 meters, and around midnight the water level suddenly dropped by 2 meters and stopped. The remaining meter of water has already been scooped out by hand. The archaeologist believed that 380 cubic meters of water seeped down into other rooms where the pharaoh's mummy could be located. Most experts think that the water went into one of the natural faults of the plateau. Due to the First World War, excavations were suspended, and Alexandra Borsanti died in 1917. Until 1954, the pyramids and the site were abandoned. In 1954, the epic film Valley of the Pharaohs was filmed. In order to film several scenes, the pyramid was again excavated and cleared of sand. After the filming, the pyramid was abandoned again. And in 1964, a military base was located around this territory, which remains there to this day. This is what Muhammad Zakaria Ghanem wrote in his book The Lost Pyramid. In 1954, an American film company cleared a well of 1,000 tons of sand that filled it in order to show scenes of the construction of the pyramid here. Thus, for the first time in many years, one can see both granite blocks and the sarcophagus, which essentially consists of a passage going deep, about 90 meters long, with a double staircase carved into the rock. The passage begins with a slight slope, then goes horizontal, and finally descends at a steep angle, resting on a huge square well, reminiscent of a shaft under the Pyramid of Djoser. Undoubtedly, at the bottom of this well, there should have been a granite tomb. Granite blocks still lie there, some of them with the names Kara or Neferka roughly inscribed on them. There is also a magnificent sarcophagus made of red granite. It stands as it was left here almost 5,000 years ago. However, both the huge well and the entrance gallery lie in the open air. The pyramid that was supposed to cover them was never erected. Now, the pyramids are covered with sand. Archaeologists agree that the unfinished pyramid of Beka needs to be explored again, using modern knowledge and technology. Considering that the pyramid is constantly covered with sand and no one clears it, the burial chamber is flooded with groundwater. And judging by photographs from space, it is also overgrown with trees, bushes, and probably littered with debris. There is no longer any hope that it will ever be examined more closely. Do you think that's all? No, this is just the beginning. Under the ground of Saqqara in Egypt lies a mysterious structure dug into solid limestone rock. These Igilrea labyrinths are rightly considered another proof of forgotten ancient technologies. The tunnel system, created during the supposedly dynastic period, the so-called New Kingdom, still retains its mystery. The complex was discovered by the French Egyptologist Auguste Mariotta in 1851 and opened to the public only in 2012 after extensive restoration work. The main attraction of the Serapum is the 27 sarcophagi made of Aswan granite. Each of these incredible stone boxes has its own dimensions and is made in an individual manner. Polished like a mirror on the outside, they are complex geometric shapes, but inside they are perfect rectangles. In addition, on the lids and the sarcophagi themselves there are puzzles and borders, which together create a kind of lock that firmly secures the entire structure. But that's not all. And researchers are still puzzling over how the ancient masters managed to squeeze such huge boxes into such narrow spaces. And some are even lowered below floor level. Scientists believe that the sarcophagi were intended for the burial of supposedly sacred bulls. During archaeological excavations, some of the massive boxes were blown up. It was simply impossible to open them in any other way, the weight was too much and the space was too confined. However, no remains were found inside the granite coffins. The real purpose of the stone objects weighing from 70 to 100 tons is still unknown. What is clear is that their creators had incredible knowledge in the field of mathematics, and also owned high-precision instruments and unknown advanced technologies. It is interesting to note that the pink granite from which most of these sarcophagi are made was mined in Aswan quarries. These granite quarries are located at a distance of 200 kilometers from Saqqara. Some sarcophagi are made of even harder diorite material and the place of its extraction is located even further away. A completely logical question arises, How did the ancient masters manage to transfer these blocks to such a huge distance, even by modern standards? For what? Wouldn't it be easier to build something similar on site in Aswan? There are a lot of questions, but practically no answers. Did scientists really get the date wrong? Logic simply says that if the restoration took so long, then the structure was poorly preserved, which means it could be much older. In addition, during the restoration work, it was so long that it was possible to explore every millimeter of the complex. Scientists from different countries of the world were not allowed to see it, and if there were exceptions, then with huge restrictions and a long list of prohibitions. Especially when it comes to photography and videography. They also write that a steel frame was erected inside the Serapeum, reinforced many times at the locations of the sarcophagi. And this is not without reason. Perhaps the most important thing is secretly hidden under stone boxes, and for this they had to be lifted. And one more interesting point. There was a reinforced frame even in those places where there were no sarcophagi. This means that there was also something there, and this something was lifted with a cable and taken away for research. Looking at all this, you can't help but assume that we have received only pitiful crumbs from the ancient feast of ideas and technology. And somewhere deep underground, lie the remains of a meeting of civilizations unknown to us. Cities, temples, libraries that have sunk into oblivion without a trace and are waiting to be discovered.